Hi guys, Michelle here from Andalere Garden. Today I want to take you on a tour of the Asian inspired garden. This is sort of the first little garden from the closest to the house off of the strolling garden. So the tours that I'm going to be doing in the next few videos on the property tours will be the little gardens that lead off of the strolling garden. So this is the top end of the strolling garden, and then off down the driveway. In the first part of the garden tours, we looked at the strolling garden. So I'm going to take you through what sort of the intentions are for this space, because it's not a space that's finished. So this is the edge of the strolling bed, and then this I want to continue and take it up to the edge over there. So this is where one will enter, and then the path will run all the way along the curve of the bed there to where Rose Bunny is standing, and then it'll go up towards the house. So we will have something big over here that sort of blocks your view to the house, so you don't see past that point. So it'll be a big shrub right there. So the bed will come there, and then relatively high plants there, just so that you can't see over. They're not going to be huge tall, other than maybe like one really big one there. So I was thinking about things like Racelia. Those is like a big drapey. I'll sort of put a pic of that up, and then it gets these tiny little bright sort of vibrant orange red flower. They flower like basically all the time. It's a good plant, I would say, for a Asian inspired garden. So we'll walk up the half a path, so to say. So as we come in here, this is Mom's azalea. This is a magenta color azalea. This is beautiful. When it's got its flowers on, it's just this mass of this magenta color. It's actually quite an awesome sight. So this area with all the bits of palm tree leaves sticking out, this was an area we did in a couple of videos. Well, one of the very first videos I sort of did this. So the weeds haven't been crazy hectic in this area over the past couple of months, but the grass is coming through here and there. So it's not a foolproof method of keeping down grass and things like that. So one does need to, like, it's time to put more grass clippings or more leaves or stuff on here, just to smother any weeds that do come up. So ideas for this area, I do want to put 2 Japanese lanterns here, so that one will stay here. I'll just reposition it. That pipe that's in the background, I'd like to maybe paint with a bit of cement, but not so thick that you lose the ribby pattern on there. It's actually got quite a beautiful sort of a ribby pattern. So if we can keep that ribby pattern, and then between using stones and maybe round pavers, things like that, to create the section at the top. Those there are bird bath, like the base of a bird bath, but then the stem of the bird bath broke. So we've got quite a number of those little bases, which I'll stack on top of one another for like the middle, that section of the lantern, and then maybe use that space or a bird bath top for that base. I'll ponder that when I actually get down to doing that area. So I am keen to give the Irish moss another try, or maybe I'll find something else and we need a complete different area. I had some Irish moss on the other side, but it just did not I don't know, it just didn't make it. So this area I want to keep relatively open and simple with like a sort of an Irish moss or some alternative that will work. There's a pond in the back there, maybe a stepping stone or stew up to a pond. So that pond that is over there, we won't access from this side. So there's another one of those in the blue and purple garden. It's not in very good nick. It's probably a bit torn here and there, but it's could probably be fixed. So what I was thinking was to put another one down on this lower level of ground, so you see that slightly higher one and then you see the lower one below that. I think it would actually be quite cool if one stands this side and you see that, and then the Japanese lanterns off to the side. Those brown rocks I do want to take away and take them to the Treasure Cove garden, where we'll do a rockery. This garden I think is going to call for big rocks, big sort of flattish kind of rocks, which I'm going to have to try my hand at making. So the pathway will just follow around this curve, and then it will go up there and off to the house or to that area at the top. I do the garden, well, on this side of the path, then we'll just have garden over here. Let's just turn you around quickly from the other side. So those two patios are what I'm thinking of. Those are both sort of reject patio. That one's got a crack, not hectic, but this one's quite sort of badly damaged, but it stays together because it's got net in it. So we'll make garden all the way there, and then just this pathway that runs there. So that all that section there where the ferns are, those ferns I will move off to the reflexology garden side, and then we'll just have a ground cover. This is going to be a very simple garden with a limited plant palette, more foliage than flowers as such. Even though I love the combination of the ferns and the hedge at the back, and then the Dutchman's pipe. That combination really talks to me. But the ferns are going to go, and I'll show you the ground cover that I want to put here that grows quite rampant. So in this area, Clary is wanting like a little conservatory for all her indoor plants. She quite likes her indoor plants. So we might down the line look at a little pretty glass conservatory, maybe made with old windows and things like that, as this is all repurposed, but made sort of like a pitched roof, to look more on the Japanese side of things, and maybe a little aviary attached to it that we can put the two little zebra finches in. So that is the idea for this area down the line. And then if we turn around, okay, so let me tell you about what's happening here. This is Polygonum. This is, I think this is an indigenous ground cover. I'm not 100% sure, but this stuff is, yeah, it's very rampant. It's perfect if you have a large area that you want to cover. It doesn't need watering. It just grows all by itself. It gets this wonderful red color. It's more green now, but there's a certain time of the year when this whole sort of, it's like this carpet of this sort of bricky red color. So it's a good ground cover when you have a large space that you want to fill. It's perfect when you've got big plants like this, as it's not going to take over the whole plant. But the tinier plants, yeah, they need a bit of a helping hand, and you need to keep on top of things. So I do want to move that away, as that gives more the feeling of lots of little rocks stacked together. So we'll use that elsewhere, and then these two big ones I'll move over to that side, and these more, and maybe fill it up with rubble and put cement over, just to create like a rock sort of big, sort of flat top squarish kind of rocks. So that's sort of the idea, and position the rocks just strategically here and there between the Japanese lanterns and around the pond area. Not too many rocks, but just a couple here and there. Japanese gardens is very much about placing rocks strategically. So all these little rocks will go to the Treasure Cove garden, as this ground cover is too rampant for these little rocks, and we're going to be losing these rocks very shortly unless I stay constantly on top of cutting the ground cover back. These are little Tilbachia, wild garlics, variegated ones. Those have got more like a lilac-y purple hue, pinky, the undertones more pink. So I might move them to the labyrinth area. There's the pond from this side. There's little plants like those privets. I do want to keep this garden very much about foliage, red foliage and yellow foliage, and then sort of shades of green, but the red being this red and not the plummy color red that's in the strolling garden. So that plant at the back is a Malvaviscus. It's got one flower there, but we can't see it so clearly. This was actually planted here not so long ago. Well, it was moved from the labyrinth area and we cut it back, so it's actually looking beautifully and covering the gap up perfectly. So there's the little pond from this side. Mom's stump where she keeps her little thing every day, and then it goes inside at night. But now in the summertime it has been staying outside for a number of days. It helps just to color up all the little leaves there. So you can see there the ground sits a bit lower. That plant over there is that's a Japanese flowering quince. It gets a beautiful like peachy pink flower, and this is a daylily that gets like a bricky red flower. There's another nice lantern. So this area, I love this area. The moss on the paving. Just trying to move a little bit further back so you can see all the moss. This is a Phoenix ribellini. It does need cutting. The dead leaves off at the bottom are desperately in need of cutting. There's a bit of wandering dew at the bottom. There's a table and chairs, but we will put a bench there later on and lose the table and chairs and move that elsewhere. There's a pot which we'll put a bonsai in. That's a nice Japanese kind of pot, sort of Chinesey feel, well, Asian inspired pot there. So a bonsai in there will look really cool. And we got a couple of plants here. This is the ground cover that I want to put on the other side of the pathway. That's also very rampant, grows very fast. If I clear that area out, it will cover that area, chop. It's about as rampant as what the polygonum is. It gets a tiny little strawberry. It's not you can eat it, but it's like pretty tasteless. It's not poisonous, so birds or whatever can munch on it. It gets a bright yellow little flower, so it's quite a cool little ground cover. It's red like this because it's stressed. If it's a bit happier, then it's a bit of a much more darker green. That's a azalea. It's a beautiful double red one. That's Plectranthus. And then Magnificent Rock. This we'll sort out this at a later stage and make a little bonsai and make that pot look prettier. That plant that's suffering a little bit with the heat is Amaryllis. It's a white Amaryllis. You can see here how this wasn't planted here, so you can see it just it doesn't need any invitation. It's all, none of this was planted here, but we'll move that all when we clear. That's a Nandina. It's like a sort of a mini Nandina. That turns a beautiful bright red color, so you can see the theme of the red color traveling through this garden. All the beautiful moss on the paving. We are careful to try not to disturb the moss in the paving when we weed the paving. That's a cordyline. This was actually much higher, and then it sort of died at the top and sprouted up again at the bottom. That is liriope. This is a variegated one. Lots of weeds there. I should have gotten those out. But the liriope is actually sort of just settling in. It took a while for it to settle in. So there's some more nandinas, but these are a much taller one. These will all grow nice and tall in time and then block out the view to the pool side. That we'll look at in another video, the second video, because that is the second garden. So these were moved last year. We moved these to here from another spot, and they have really taken off, and they are looking absolutely fabulous. And that little feature over there is looking quite cool, but we do need to maybe just put a different little plant at the top there, as the hen and chicken is not always so happy in the full blazing afternoon sun. I do need to move this out and find another home for that. This was actually in one of those small patios, but then it dried out and I think it's dead. But I'm going to leave the patio for a while in case it grows, because this was very rampant and growing between the paving. So it's cool, and it gets this lovely chartreuse foliage if you cut it back, but in between here is not the place for it. So down the line we need to cut back and open up a pathway through to that side, but that's for a totally another time. This bamboo has been here for, Reeds has been here for a long time, many years, probably about 30 years. So it is huge, and it would need hectic cutting back, but it works perfectly for that Japanese feel. So this is very cool. Yeah, I do love this little area. It's a very peaceful area. So I have got some more daylilies, a few different colors, which we'll be putting here with maybe another big rock or so. This is going to be also a garden very much for foliage. Those are privets. You can see now this is where, because they're so small, they grow into a big plant, but now while they're small, the polygonum does sort of take over. So we would need to stay on top of that, but maybe I will put a big rock there and then bring those more towards the edge so that they are slightly protruding over onto the paving. We had Irish moss or Scotch moss, I never know which is which over there, but we've tried it twice. The idea being that the Irish moss grows and kind of sort of merges with the moss on the paving, but yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to happen, as we can't seem to keep the Irish moss through the summer months. So we will make another plan there. So there'll be yellow foliage, and then the green foliage, and the very bright red foliages, and lime green color foliage, and dark green foliage, but no plummy colors and things like that. We'll be using things like Coprosma, the Coprosma Sunset, and I don't know which one is which. You get a sunset and you get a sunrise. One of them is a very red, it's like a red color. So that's the color that I want to put a lot of in here. So we've got the vibrant red. So guys, that's it for ideas ahead for this little section of garden. And I hope you enjoyed the video and can do the visualizing of what is happening up ahead. And then in the next video we'll look at the little garden that is next to the pool. That would be the second garden off of the strolling garden. So go well, God bless, and thank you for watching. Bye. Bye guys.